St. Alphonsus Liguori, a doctor of the church, let me just tell you, a doctor of the church, he says this: after creation and redemption, your holy vocation is the greatest gift God could give you. Thank God for it every day. But think about that. After creation and redemption, your holy vocation is the greatest gift God could ever give you. A real sign, I think, of a vocation is joy. When I see sad religious, I want to go up and shake them and say, you're not meant to be sad, you're meant to be happy, you're meant to be full of the joy of the Lord. St. Paul says to the Philippines, he says, I want you to be happy, always happy in the Lord. I repeat, what I want is your happiness. That's St. Paul speaking to the Philippines. They were a community that were being persecuted. They were a community that were having bricks thrown at them. They were a community that had families split up. It was a mad community. And he says, I want your happiness. I want your happiness. Finally, I want your happiness. So he wasn't going around just being nice, saying, let's all be happy together. He wasn't. He was proclaiming the true happiness of the Lord. The Acts of the Apostles, we all know the Acts of the Apostles very well. And when we're reading the Acts of the Apostles, the foundation of the early church, we come across, and their number increased by 3,000. Every day the Lord added to their number. So an increasing number of men and women believed in the Lord, etc., etc. Why is this? Why is this? Because it does not make any sense. Again, remember, this is people getting bricks thrown at them. This is people who could lose their jobs, who could lose their families, who could lose their lives, because simply they're following Jesus Christ. But why is it that their numbers were increasing? I'm not a scripture scholar, but I've got this wee theory about this. And I believe their numbers were increasing because they were attractive. I really believe that. They were attractive people, and people thought, what is it about that one over there? What is it about that one there? They're so full of something. I believe they were attractive. And again, remember the community of which we speak. This is the Acts of the Apostles. The Christians of the early church exuded a joy and a happiness at being in the service of the Lord. That was, remember, after being whipped within an inch of their lives, they were happy to serve this grace. And it's the quotation is, the apostles went out of the council rejoicing that they were considered worthy to suffer disgrace for the sake of the name. They were worthy to suffer disgrace. I think now sometimes religious people go in a huff very quickly because somebody doesn't like us, or somebody said this about us, or somebody, we go, oh. That's not what we're meant to do. We're to be the people of the Lord, and the people who are happy to suffer even disgrace for the sake of the name. And this makes sense to me, because any encounter, I think I can say this with fear of contradiction, any encounter with Jesus is an encounter with joy. Would anyone contradict me? Good job for that. That's on extreme. My soul glorifies the Lord, my spirit rejoices in God my Saviour. The two babies in the womb, Jesus and John, jumping even in the womb. In our religious life, in our priesthood, are we attractive? Ask yourself that question. I ask myself this question often, so it's not an accusation. Are we attractive? And I don't mean that with your makeup and all that. I don't mean that. I mean, our being. Are we attractive people? With body language, I can tell what sort of person you are in about 5 minutes. Don't look so alarmed, it's okay. It's not that I can read with the eyes of the soul or anything like that, but we express 75% of who we are just in our body language. I mean, I think it's 75%, but in any case, it doesn't matter because 83% of statistics are made up anyway. Yeah, those of you listening. If I'm standing here and I say, Jesus Christ is the centre of my life, not very much. Would you believe me? Good. There's a bit of scepticism there, rightly so. But I hope you can hear the way that I'm speaking, that Jesus Christ is the centre of my life. And I love Jesus Christ so very much, I'll even come and talk in front of you about Jesus Christ. The happiness that I speak of, the joy that I speak of, is not a happy, clappy, superficial. Not at all. It's a deep-seated joy. It's something that cannot be taken away from us, even when we're suffering. It's that deep-seated. We're happy to have suffered for the sake of the name. Pope Francis says, smile and show people the inner joy that comes from Jesus Christ. He's always going around that, especially religious. Smile, smile. But he also says the smile that we have might be fake, so we need to watch that. He said, he speaks to people, he says, they may smile, but it's a fake smile, like that of a flight attendant. The poor flight attendants. Oh, thank you. Anyway, we're not to be like them. And also, we're not to go around with a smile on our face all the time. There's a Roman proverb that says, never trust anybody who's got a perpetual smile on their face. Because it means, one, they're thinking, I'm going to get you. Or they're just thinking, I'm not really plugged in. So you don't trust people that's walking about with a smile on their face all the time. So it's not a simpleton joy, but it's a deep-seated joy because we know who we are. We know who we are, and we know who has called us, and we know whose service we're at, and we know our dignity as daughters and sons of God. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice. 25 years ago, this year, I was ordained to the priesthood. I'm a silver jubilarian. I cannot believe I managed to get as old as that. I'm a silver jubilarian. I know for some of you that's nothing, because you're diamond jubilarians and platinum jubilarians, and I salute you. I'm a silver jubilarian. I'm dead happy about it. But I was ordained in Greenock, and I was ordained by the most wonderful bishop, John Moon. I can see you know, a wonderful bishop. And by him was his other wonderful bishop, Stephen McGill. And Bishop Moon was preaching from the sacramentary, and it was very serious. He wasn't a very serious man in that regard, but he was serious this day. He was reading and giving all the instruction that the bishop has to give. And then he put the book down, and he looked at me, and he said, Richard, for God's sake, be a happy priest. And I thank God for that line. Many things, I remember many things from that day, and that ceremony, and that wondrous moment. I'll never forget those wonderful words. Richard, for God's sake, and means it for God's sake, be a happy priest. And I try to be a happy priest. And on occasions, maybe when I'm not being so happy, I hear those words in my ear. Richard, for God's sake, be a happy priest. I would like just to say the same thing to you, sisters, fathers, brothers. For God's sake, be happy religious. Be people of joy, because we know who we are. A question then for you, not to answer out loud or share, but are you happy in your religious life? That's not yourself. I want to read a reading, which is a reading that I had at my ordination. I chose this reading, and I don't think my aunt was overly impressed, because I asked her to read it, and then I gave her the reading, and she looked at me and went, "Are you serious?" But anyway, I was. This reading that we have every year on the Feast of St. Denis of France, of Paris, and the reading really struck me the first time I consciously am aware of having heard it. And this reading still strikes me every time I hear it. 2 Corinthians 6, 4-10. It's worth looking up. We prove we are servants of God by great fortitude in times of suffering. We made a big yes. We made a big yes to God. But no, there's a wee part of ourselves that we're maybe selfishly holding on to and not letting Christ take that because we're scared of losing something. And Pope Benedict realizes this, and he says, if we let Christ into our lives, we lose nothing, absolutely nothing of what makes life free, beautiful, and great. Just conscious of the time, I just want to give you a finishing quote from Helen Keller, because this woman, well, she's dead now, but she's a blind and deaf woman, and because I'm holding a microphone and a wee computer thing, I can't do that. But she's blind and deaf, and yet she had a woman who believed that she would have the ability to be able to communicate and speak. And she became a great academic and a great writer and a great social reformer. This is what she says. And she says this to everybody, but I say this particularly to those of us who are here as religious. Listen to this. I, who am blind, can give one hint to those who see. Admonition to those who would make full use of the gift of sight. Use your eyes as if tomorrow you would be struck blind. And the same method can be applied to the other senses. Hear the music of voices, the song of a bird, the mighty strains of an orchestra, as if you would be struck deaf tomorrow. Touch each object you want to touch, as if tomorrow your tactile sense would fail. Smell the perfume of flowers, taste with relish each morsel, as if tomorrow you would never smell or taste again. Make the most of every sense. Glory in all the facets of pleasure and beauty which the world reveals to you through the several means of contact which nature provides. As a blind and deaf woman speaking to us. And I think we are supposed to be the people who've got time to take in the beauty of everything, to take in the beauty of the simpleness of life, to take in the beauty of the simpleness of our togetherness, to take in the beauty of God. I'm just going to finish by praying a prayer now, which is a prayer which I find very useful when I think of vocation discernment, but when I think about my vocation today, I think in my vocation, if I'm going to be the last religious on this planet, I'm going to be there. You can't stop me. I hear people moaning and complaining about, oh, religious life is dying. I think, if it's dying, it's dying. I don't believe it is dying, by the way. But if it is going to die, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there. And I do think that because this prayer said a lot to me. And it's by John Henry Newman, a great Englishman. God has created me to do him some definite service. He has committed some work to me which he has not committed to another. I have my mission. I may never know it in this life, but I shall be told it in the next. I am a link in a chain, a bond of connection between persons. He has not created me for naught. I shall do good. I shall do his work. I shall be an angel of peace, a preacher of truth in my own place, while not intending it, if I do but keep his commandments. Therefore, I will trust him. Whatever I am, I can never be thrown away. If I am in sickness, my sickness may serve him. In perplexity, my perplexity may serve him. If I am in sorrow, my sorrow may serve him. He does nothing in vain. He knows what he is about. He may take away my friends. He may throw me among strangers. He may make me feel desolate, make my spirits sink, hide my future from me. He knows what he is about.